Anhua Gao chose the title of her memoirs, To the Edge of the Sky, because that was how her mother described Britain's position on a map of the world. Little did Gao know then, at the age of 9, that it would be Britain that she would eventually settle. She wrote her account of her experiences in China, partly to honor her parents, who both died by the time she was 12. Jennifer Lee sat down with Gao recently to talk about her life and memories of the Cultural Revolution.
Some of these events happened a long time ago. Why did you not decide to write this book earlier?
I wanted to write it earlier when I was in China, but I knew clearly it could never be published, because if I was going to write a book, there must be something not in agreement with the Communist Party. They wouldn't be happy with it.
Was this book sort of a personal vendetta against the Communist Party?
I shouldn't say it's against the party on purpose, but it was only the fact that showed the party has done wrong to the people. I didn't want to be their enemy, and in fact, when I was young, I supported them in every possible way, and I followed Chairman Mao blindly.
What incidents triggered your change of heart and allowed your loyalty to the Communist Party to waver?
It wasn't changed just in one day or 1 hour, no. It was during a long period, because I first doubted the communism when I was at the middle school. The whole school was sent to the countryside to help the people to harvest, to do manual labor in the fields. And I saw the first time in my life how poor the life they had. And that was terrible. And I asked myself, is this the happiest life on earth?
But it must have been more than just the poverty that you saw around you that led to your disillusionment.
No, the real change happened during Cultural Revolution, when I witnessed all my loved ones, respected teachers and uncles, aunts, were all denounced. We didn't want to believe that the Communist Party policy was wrong, and I didn't want to believe that Mao Zedong was a tyrant, was bad, he didn't do good things for the Chinese people. We still tried to believe him. But as so many people tortured and beaten, and many of them persecuted to death, we had to ask ourselves, why should this happen? Why should this be right?
At what point did your faith break completely?
My faith faded little by little, but the last straw was when I was put in prison.
Now, the second time you were arrested, what was used as evidence against you was a handwritten copy of A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. Why did you like the book so much that you would copy it word for word by hand? What was it about that novel that got to you?
When I got this book, it was just like in a long drought that suddenly I got these raindrops. I wanted to swallow it. It was, when I read it, I felt so happy, so happy. I was so moved by the characters inside, the loyalties of friends, the dedication to their loved ones. I think this happened in the capitalist countries, which we were told people always betray each other. They haven't got any communist spirit in them. Only we, Chinese, in China, we would help each other. But the hero in the book, they never received any education of communism, but they did it.
In the last 10 years especially, there have been a slew of women Chinese writers who have decided to publish their memoirs growing up in China, especially revolutionary China. I mean, you have Nian Cheng's Life and Death in Shanghai and Yong Chang's Wild Swans, and now it's your turn. Are you not concerned that people might think, oh God, not another one?
No, I have never thought of that, and I don't fear that it's the right way for people to think it's another one of those sort of things, because everybody has different story to tell. For Nian Cheng, the author of Life and Death in Shanghai, she was persecuted because she came from different political background, and like most of the victims in China. But I came a different political background. I came from a Communist Party's family, and I wasn't supposed to be victimized. That's something quite different. That means the party has no mercy to anybody. Yong Zhang and me, we came from similar political background, and we had different experiences, but we came to the same conclusion. Therefore, our books support each other like a sister book. She wasn't victimized, she wasn't put in a prison, but her father was persecuted to death by Mo. As for Adeline Emma, Falling Leaves, she came from a rich family in Hong Kong. It's a totally different environment.
These books have done very well in bookshops. They're very popular, and no doubt they make a lot of money. Did you at all think that you would make a profit from this?
Of course, I wanted to get it published, to tell the world what really happened to me. And it would be nice if my financial position could be improved. But that couldn't be the first reason. I surprisingly found out in England that the Westerners understand China so little, they know so little, and many of them have never heard about Nanjing Massacre in 1937, when the Japanese killed 300,000 Chinese people in 2 weeks. I was so surprised. They have never heard of it. They only knew Hitler's concentration camp in Europe.
So you wanted to correct the world's perception of China. You wanted to educate.
That's right. And I think probably Mao Zedong was the worst. He was worse than Hitler, because Hitler he killed foreign people. But Mao Zedong, he killed his own people. So no other, leaders in world history did that, except him.
You feel very strongly
opposed against him.
And about China and political issues. Would you ever consider going into politics?
No, never. I don't want to get into trouble again. I don't want to appear as a distant, but I still want to speak out my point of view.
Your memoir is titled To the Edge of the Sky. Now that's a reference to how far away Britain seemed to you as a child.
That's right.
When you finally arrived, was it what you expected?
It was different from China, of course, but yes, it was what I expected, because everything was so good. And nobody interferes your life. Nobody interferes your life. You can do whatever you want. Nobody pays attention. But at first, after a few days, I arrived in London. I was sitting in the department, facing outside, beside the window, and I heard the police car passing. I got startled. I said, was that for me? Yes. Is that for me? I was nervous because that kind of fear still inside me, still didn't go away. Several times I was startled by the sound of police car. Of course, they were not for me.
How do you see China today? Do you think they've made a lot of progress since those dark days?
Yes, of course. I'm very happy to see China has made enormous progress. I can see with my own eyes. But, you know, bad things and good things still mix together.
Do you think you could ever live there again?
Yes, probably, yes, I will. Why I want to do it? Because I'm always a Chinese. Although I have become a British citizen, inside me, I'm always a Chinese.
So in your heart, you feel that you have purged these demons and that you can go back to China today without experiencing the trauma all over again?
Yes, I can face without those tragedies all over again, those fears, no, without fear, no.
And Hua Gao was talking to Jennifer Lee.